You're still waiting for her approval, aren't you? Not consciously, perhaps. Not in the way you'd admit at a dinner party, but in the small hours when you've accomplished something significant and feel that strange emptiness instead of satisfaction. In the hesitation before you express a need. In the way your throat tightens when someone offers unconditional care. You're still a child reaching toward a mother who couldn't quite reach back, and you're doing it in 100 unconscious ways that are shaping your entire life. I'm not here to pathologize your mother or mine. I'm here to name something that lives in the psyche of nearly every person watching this: the mother wound. It's the unfinished business between who you needed her to be and who she actually was. And here's what makes this so psychologically profound. The mother wound isn't just about your personal mother. It's about your first encounter with the great mother archetype, that primordial image of nourishment, containment, and belonging that exists in the collective unconscious. When that first encounter fractures, it creates a complex that colors everything that follows. Before the end of this video, we'll explore how the mother complex operates beneath the surface of your relationships, your creativity, your sense of self-worth, and your capacity for intimacy. More importantly, we'll look at how recognizing this wound, really seeing it without flinching, becomes the first step toward psychological wholeness. Not healing in the sense of making it disappear, but integration in the Jungian sense, bringing the unconscious into consciousness so it stops running your life from the shadows. Welcome to Deep Psyche Lab, where we explore the depths of the psyche through the lens of Jungian psychology. I'm here to guide you through the sometimes uncomfortable, always profound territory of your inner world. If you're new here, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future explorations into the psychology of transformation. This channel is for people who want more than surface-level self-help, people who are ready to do the actual work of becoming conscious. The mother wound sits in your body right now. It's in the way you respond when someone gets too close. It's in the voice that tells you you're too much or not enough. It's in your relationship with food, with rest, with receiving. Let's begin. Your mother was your first world, before language, before thought, before you had any sense of where you ended and the world began. There was her. Her heartbeat was your metronome. Her emotional state was your weather. Developmental psychology tells us that the infant psyche is completely merged with the mother. There is no I yet, only a field of sensation and need. The mother's attuned response to your needs becomes the foundation for your entire psychological structure. How safe is the world? Am I worthy of care? Can I trust that my needs will be met? These aren't questions you thought. They're convictions that got written into your nervous system before you could speak. But here's where Jung takes us deeper than attachment theory alone. The personal mother, the actual woman who raised you, was only one layer. Beneath her, behind her, lived the archetypal mother. This is the great mother from myth and fairy tale, the source of all life, the container of all possibility, the one who nourishes and the one who devours. Every culture has her. Demeter and Kali, Isis and Hecate, the Virgin Mary and Baba Yaga. She is abundance and famine, unconditional love and conditional approval, the womb and the tomb. When you were born, you didn't meet just your mother. You met the great mother archetype projected onto her. You experienced her as all-powerful, all-knowing, the source of life itself. And because she was human, flawed, limited by her own wounds and circumstances, there was inevitably a gap between the archetypal image and the reality. That gap is where the complex forms. Jung defined a complex as an emotionally charged cluster of ideas and images that acts like a splinter personality. The mother complex is one of the most potent because it forms so early, before the ego is strong enough to process or integrate the experience. It operates autonomously. You don't decide to have it. It has you. It gets triggered by situations that resemble the original wound, and suddenly, you're not a 40-year-old professional. You're a child desperate for approval or terrified of abandonment. Let's be specific about what this looks like. The mother wound doesn't announce itself. It whispers through your life in patterns you might not connect to her. You overfunction in relationships, anticipating everyone's needs before they're spoken, exhausting yourself to maintain harmony. This might look like generosity, but underneath is the learned belief that your worth depends on how well you care for others, because that's how you tried to earn your mother's love. You became her caretaker, her confidant, her emotional regulator. You parentified yourself, and now, decades later, you still can't rest unless everyone around you is okay. Or perhaps you swing the opposite direction. You've built walls so high that genuine intimacy feels like suffocation. When someone wants to get close, your body reacts with panic. You ghost people before they can leave you. You sabotage good relationships with picking and criticism. This isn't fear of intimacy exactly. It's the deep, wordless terror that if someone really sees you, they'll do what she did. Withdraw, criticize, abandon, ignore, engulf. The mother wound taught you that closeness equals annihilation of self. Maybe your wound shows up in how you treat your body. You can't sense hunger and fullness accurately. You push through exhaustion as though rest were a character flaw. You look in the mirror and hear her voice listing your inadequacies. The body, which should have been your first home, feels like enemy territory, because she, who was supposed to be your first home, wasn't safe. Jung observed in his clinical practice that the mother complex in women often manifests as either identification with the mother or desperate flight from her. The identified daughter becomes a copy, living out her mother's unlived life, unable to access her own desires. She's pleasant, self-sacrificing, perpetually nice, and deeply depressed. She has no idea who she is beneath the performance. The fleeing daughter rejects everything the mother represents. If mother was domestic, she's aggressively career-focused. If mother was emotional, she's hyper-rational. If mother was conservative, she's rebellious. But this reactive stance is just the shadow side of the same identification. She's still defined entirely by the mother, just in opposition. In men, the mother complex often appears as an inability to commit, a search for the perfect woman who embodies all the nurturing the mother couldn't provide, or a pattern of choosing partners who mirror the mother's wounding. Jung noted that a man with an unresolved mother complex often has difficulty individuating, separating psychologically from the mother to become his own man. He might marry a woman like his mother and spend his life unconsciously trying to get from her what he never received. Or he might marry her opposite and find himself strangely dissatisfied because the familiar wound isn't being replicated and resolved. But there's a deeper layer to this we haven't touched yet. The mother wound isn't just personal history, it's initiatory. In fairy tales and myths, the absent, dead, or devouring mother is often the catalyst that forces the hero into consciousness. Hansel and Gretel are abandoned by their mother figure and must face the witch, another mother figure, to become capable adults. Persephone is separated from Demeter and must descend to the underworld to become a queen in her own right. The hero's journey often begins with leaving the mother's protection. Psychologically, this means the mother wound, painful as it is, creates the necessity for individuation. If your mother had been perfect, if she'd met every need flawlessly, you'd have no reason to develop your own psychological authority. You'd remain a psychological infant, forever dependent. The wound creates a gap that you must fill with your own consciousness. It forces you to become the good mother to yourself. This is not to romanticize wounding or suggest that abuse is somehow beneficial. It's to say that the psyche has a compensatory function. What was missing externally must be developed internally. The worse the wound, the more profound the potential healing, and the more necessary the work becomes. Let's explore this through myth. In the ancient Greek story of Demeter and Persephone, we see both sides of the mother wound played out archetypally. Demeter is the devouring mother who cannot let her daughter go. Her love is possessive, consuming. She wants Persephone to remain the eternal maiden, picking flowers in her meadow forever. When Hades abducts Persephone to the underworld, Demeter's grief is so total that she stops all growth on earth. Nothing can be born. Nothing can thrive. This is the shadow side of the Great Mother, the aspect Jung called the terrible mother. She doesn't want to nourish your growth. She wants to keep you dependent, merged, never separate. Some of you recognize this immediately. Your mother's love came with strings. She needed you to need her. Your success threatened her. Your independence felt like betrayal. She gave and gave, but somehow you always ended up feeling guilty, obligated, trapped. The price of her love was your selfhood. Persephone's story shows us that psychological development requires a descent, a separation from the mother that feels like death. The underworld isn't punishment, it's initiation. Down there, Persephone eats the pomegranate seeds. She consumes something of the darkness. She can no longer be the innocent maiden. She becomes queen of the underworld, developed, complex, capable of holding both light and shadow. When she returns to her mother, she's changed. She can visit, but she can't stay. The bond is transformed from fusion to relation. If you're still enmeshed with your mother, or with the internalized image of her, this myth is your roadmap. The descent means facing the parts of yourself she couldn't accept, the darkness she feared or denied or projected onto you, your anger, your sexuality, your ambition, your difference. Down in your own underworld, you meet these rejected parts and claim them. You eat the pomegranate seeds. You taste your own desires, your own authority, your own darkness. And then you can return to relationship with her not as a child seeking approval, but as a sovereign adult. Not everyone had a devouring mother, though. Some of you had the absent mother, physically present perhaps, but emotionally unavailable, depressed, addicted, overwhelmed by her own trauma. She looked at you, but she didn't see you. You performed for her attention. You became perfect, troublesome, invisible, sick, anything to get her to truly look, but she couldn't. She was drowning in her own underworld and had nothing left to give. This creates a different kind of wound. Instead of struggling to separate, you struggled to attach. You learned that reaching out leads to disappointment, so you stopped reaching. You became prematurely self-sufficient. People call you independent, capable, low maintenance. They don't know that inside you're still that child, pressed against the glass, watching everyone else receive the warmth you were denied. The absent mother leaves you with a bone-deep loneliness and a terror of depending on anyone. Jung wrote extensively about the complexes we carry from our parents, noting that they act like autonomous personalities within us. When the mother complex is activated, you're no longer responding to present reality. You're responding to the past superimposed on the present. Your partner asks a simple question and you hear criticism. A friend takes 3 hours to text back and you spiral into abandonment. A colleague receives praise and you feel that old sibling rivalry, that scarcity, that belief that there's not enough love to go around and you have to earn your portion. The complex is running the show and you're barely aware of it. This is what Jung meant by being unconscious. Not that you're not thinking, but that you're being lived by forces you haven't examined. The work, then, is to make the complex conscious, to see the mother wound clearly, without the defenses you've built to avoid feeling it. This requires what Jung called withdrawing projections. You've been projecting the mother complex onto partners, bosses, friends, even onto yourself. Every critical voice, every instance of self-neglect, every relationship where you replay the original dynamic, these are projections. The wound is looking for healing by recreating itself, over and over, hoping for a different outcome. If this perspective is shifting something in you, if you're recognizing patterns you've never seen this clearly before, take a moment to like this video. It helps more people find this content, and it tells me that going deep like this serves you. Let's continue. Recognizing the mother wound in yourself requires honest self-observation, not self-criticism, observation. Jung encouraged active imagination as a way to engage with complexes, and we can apply that here. The next time you feel that familiar emotional charge, the one that feels too big for the situation, pause. Don't try to fix it or make it go away. Instead, ask, how old do I feel right now? Often the answer isn't your current age. You feel 5 or 12 or 16. Some young part of you has been activated. Then ask, what did that child need that she didn't get? Don't analyze it intellectually. Feel into it. Did she need to be seen? Protected? Allowed to be angry? Allowed to be separate? Given permission to rest, to need, to take up space? Whatever answer emerges, that's your wound speaking. That's the place that's still waiting for resolution. Here's what changes everything. You can't go back and get it from her. This is the hardest truth. Your mother, whether she's still living or not, cannot give you what she couldn't give you then. She was limited by her own history, her own wounds, her own consciousness. Waiting for her to finally see you, validate you, apologize, understand, this keeps you locked in the original dynamic. The child in you is still reaching, still hoping, still organizing your entire life around that unmet need. The healing comes not from her, but from you becoming the good mother to that wounded child part. This isn't metaphorical. This is actual psychological work. You develop an internal relationship with that young part of yourself. You learn to recognize when she's activated. You speak to her. You give her what she needed. Witnessing, protection, permission, comfort. You don't abandon her the way you were abandoned. You don't criticize her the way you were criticized. Jung called this process developing the self, that center of the psyche that's larger than ego, that can hold and integrate all the parts. The self has the capacity to parent the wounded child within. It can provide the containment, the mirroring, the unconditional positive regard that the personal mother couldn't fully offer. This is what he meant by individuation, becoming whole by integrating what was split off, rejected, or undeveloped. Practically, this looks like noticing when you're in the grip of the complex and choosing differently. Your boss doesn't respond to your email, and you feel that familiar panic. The one that says you've done something wrong, you're going to be punished, you're not good enough. The complex wants you to spiral, but instead you pause. You recognize this is the wound talking. This isn't actually about the email. You place a hand on your chest. You breathe. You speak to that scared part. I see you. You're safe. We're going to be okay. You're not 5 anymore, and I've got you. Or you notice yourself over-functioning again, anticipating everyone's needs, exhausting yourself to keep the peace. The complex wants you to keep performing, but instead you ask, what do I actually need right now? Not what does everyone else need from me, but what do I need? Maybe the answer is rest. Maybe it's boundaries. Maybe it's to let someone else figure out their own problem. You practice meeting your own needs, even though it brings up guilt. Especially because it brings up guilt. That guilt is the old program. Taking care of yourself means abandoning others. But it doesn't. It means you're no longer abandoning yourself. The mother wound also shows up in how you mother others. Your children, if you have them, or the people you nurture in any capacity. Jung observed that we tend to either recreate our parents' patterns or swing to the opposite extreme. Neither is conscious parenting. The woman who was smothered might refuse to be nurturing at all, creating emotional distance. The woman who was neglected might become enmeshed, unable to let her children develop independence. Both are still in reaction to the wound. Conscious parenting, or conscious relating in any nurturing role, means seeing where you're still unconsciously replaying the past and choosing something different. It means recognizing when you're projecting your own unmet needs onto others. It means doing your own work so you don't pass the complex down another generation. This is where depth psychology becomes genuinely radical. Most approaches focus on feeling better, coping better, managing symptoms. Jung asked, who are you becoming through this suffering? What is trying to be born? The mother wound isn't just something to heal from. It's the catalyst for developing a conscious relationship with the archetypal feminine within yourself. For women, this means integrating both the positive and negative mother, the nourisher and the devourer, the creative and the destructive. It means recognizing that you contain the whole spectrum of the feminine, not just the acceptable parts. You can be fierce and tender, selfish and generous, nurturing and destructive. The wound often creates a split where you identify with one side and repress the other. Healing means bringing both into consciousness. For men, the mother wound affects the anima, Jung's term for the inner feminine. A man with an unresolved mother complex often has a fragmented relationship with his own feeling function, his creativity, his receptivity, his capacity for intimacy. The inner feminine either becomes idealized, projected onto women as an impossible standard, or demonized, leading to misogyny and fear of female power. Integrating the wound means developing a conscious relationship with the anima, allowing the inner feminine to guide him toward wholeness rather than unconsciously controlling his relationships. The deeper you go with this work, the more you realize that the mother wound is also a portal to the transpersonal. The personal mother, with all her human limitations, was a carrier of the great mother archetype. Your relationship with her initiated you into one of the fundamental polarities of existence: nourishment and withholding, creation and destruction, merging and separation. Every spiritual tradition addresses this polarity. The mystics speak of the Divine Mother, the generative ground of being. Jung himself, in his late work, explored the importance of honoring the feminine principle, not just as a psychological concept, but as a spiritual reality. When you do the work to heal the personal mother wound, you open access to the archetypal mother in her full complexity. You can experience the nourishing aspect in nature, in creativity, in the capacity to be generative in your life. You can honor the destructive aspect, the necessary deaths, the composting of what no longer serves, the dark fertile void from which new life emerges. You're no longer split, no longer seeking the perfect mother outside yourself, because you've developed the capacity to mother yourself from that deeper archetypal source. This is why fairy tales so often feature the dead mother. Snow White's mother dies in childbirth. Cinderella's mother dies and the stepmother arrives. Hansel and Gretel's mother sends them into the forest. The death of the personal mother, literal or psychological, forces the hero to find the archetypal mother within. The external source of nourishment is gone. You must go into the forest, into the underworld, into the unknown, and discover your own resources. Some of you watching this never had a chance at secure attachment. Your mother was abusive, cruel, or so damaged that she genuinely couldn't care for you. This level of wounding requires acknowledgement without softening. There's no both sides understanding here. What happened to you was wrong. The child you were deserved protection, safety, love. She didn't get it. And the adult you are now carries that legacy in your body, in your relationships, in your capacity to trust. Jung was clear that some complexes are so deep and so defended that they require professional help to unravel. If your mother wound involves trauma, abuse, or severe neglect, this video isn't a substitute for therapy. Working with someone trained in both trauma and depth psychology can provide the safe container needed to process what your psyche couldn't process alone. The disclaimer applies here. This exploration is for self-understanding, not a replacement for professional mental health support. But even with the deepest wounds, the fundamental principle remains. Consciousness transforms. Bringing the complex into the light of awareness lessens its autonomous control over you. You begin to separate what happened to you from who you are. The wound is part of your story, but it's not the whole story. And more importantly, you're no longer the powerless child. You're an adult with agency, with resources, with the capacity to create new experiences. The final and perhaps most profound aspect of healing the mother wound is forgiveness. Not the cheap version, the spiritual bypassing that skips over rage and grief to get to acceptance. Not the premature forgiveness that lets her off the hook while you're still bleeding, but the deep, hard-won forgiveness that comes after you've felt everything, spoken your truth, and done the work to stop waiting for what she can't give. This forgiveness isn't for her, it's for you. It's the recognition that she too was a human being with her own wounds, limitations, and unconscious complexes. She was doing the best she could with the consciousness she had. That doesn't make what she did okay. It doesn't erase the impact, but it releases you from the prison of resentment, the endless replay of how things should have been different. Jung wrote in his memoir that we don't solve our complexes, we outgrow them. We develop enough psychological capacity that the complex, while still present, no longer dominates. The mother wound doesn't disappear, but you become bigger than it. You develop an observing ego that can see the complex when it's activated and choose a different response. You create new experiences that slowly, gradually write new patterns over the old ones. You prove to your nervous system over and over that closeness doesn't equal engulfment, that boundaries don't equal abandonment, that you can need and not be rejected, that you can be seen fully and still be loved. The work is recursive. You think you've healed something, and then life presents a new situation that activates the wound at a deeper level. This isn't failure. It's the spiral path of individuation. Each time you meet the complex consciously, you integrate another layer. The wound becomes less raw, less reactive, more like an old injury that occasionally aches but doesn't control your movement. And something else happens. As you heal your relationship with the mother wound, your capacity for genuine intimacy expands. You can let people close without losing yourself. You can receive care without suspicion. You can give care without resentment. You can hold complexity, loving someone and being angry with them, being grateful for what they gave and grieving what they couldn't. You develop what Jung called the transcendent function, the ability to hold opposites without splitting into all good or all bad. Your relationship with creativity changes too. The mother wound often blocks creative expression because creativity requires both merging and separation. You must dissolve into the creative flow, a kind of maternal merging, but also separate enough to give form to what wants to emerge. If the mother complex is unresolved, you might block the merging, staying always in your head, never surrendering to the process. Or you might dissolve completely and never bring anything into form. Healing the wound allows you to dance between these poles. Most significantly, You stop organizing your entire life around the original wound. You stop choosing partners who replicate it. You stop creating work situations that replay the dynamic. You stop punishing yourself for your mother's failures. You claim your own life, not in reaction to her, not in service to her, but from your own center. This is the gift hidden in the wound. The mother wound, when brought to consciousness, becomes the foundation for psychological and spiritual maturity. It teaches you that the source of love and nourishment isn't outside you. It develops your capacity for self-mothering, which is the essence of self-love. It initiates you into the reality of human limitation, that no one can be everything, that we all fail each other in various ways, that perfection isn't the goal. The goal is wholeness. The goal is consciousness. The goal is showing up for the work of becoming a full human being despite everything you didn't receive. You stop waiting for permission to live your life. You stop checking over your shoulder to see if she approves. You stop making yourself small or big or anything other than what you actually are. You discover that the good mother you've been searching for exists within you, available always, not because you earned it, but because you developed it. This is what individuation looks like. This is what it means to become conscious. You take back the projection. You withdraw the power you gave to the wound, and you step into your life as the author, not the victim. The mother wound was your first encounter with the fundamental wound of existence, separation. You began as merged consciousness, undifferentiated from the source. Being born, psychologically and spiritually, meant leaving that merged state, experiencing separation, becoming an individual. This is the human condition. We spend our lives navigating that tension, the longing to return to union, and the necessity of maintaining separateness. Your mother was simply the first place you learned that lesson. How you navigate all intimacy, all creativity, all spiritual longing is shaped by how you navigate that original separation. But here's the paradox. Only by fully individuating, by truly becoming separate, can you experience genuine union. Only by developing a strong, conscious sense of self can you surrender into true intimacy without losing yourself. Only by claiming your sovereignty can you participate in something larger than yourself without being swallowed. The mother wound, when healed, becomes the gateway to this mature capacity. So this is the ultimate reframe. The mother wound isn't a deficit to overcome. It's the necessary initiation into adult consciousness. It's the doorway through which you develop the psychological and spiritual capacities you need for genuine life. It hurts, it's often unbearable, but it's also the making of you. If you're willing to meet it consciously, feel it fully, and let it transform you rather than define you. You came here carrying an ancient wound. You leave here with a map to the treasure it's been guarding all along. Your own wholeness, your own authority, your own capacity to be both the nurturer and the nurtured. The child within is no longer waiting for rescue. You are the rescue. You always were. You just had to grow big enough to realize it. This channel explores psychology for self-understanding and is not a substitute for professional therapy. Thank you for staying with me through this deep exploration. If this video resonated with you, if it named something you felt but couldn't articulate, hit that like button. Subscribe to Deep Psyche Lab for more depth psychology content that goes beneath the surface to the truth of what it means to be human. And hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next journey into the psyche's depths. These explorations require courage, yours in watching, mine in creating. We're in this together. Drop a comment with one word that captures your experience of the mother wound, or how you're learning to mother yourself now. Integration, separation, compassion, recognition. Whatever arises, share it. Your words create community for others who need to know they're not alone in this work. The wound you carry is also a summons to become whole,